I live in a new universe on the planet Earth through Earth's star through Clippeth Id. And it's called Seventh House Netzach. Nobody crosses the wall. Welcome to our new Stardust version of Ascension. The difference between a witch or a survived one and annihilation on the other end. Hoed. Just hoed. Seventh House Netzach. Nobody crosses the wall. The karma matrix prism on the planet was set at no matter, even if you were crucified like 4 or 5 times like Jesus, you would still be kidnapped and tortured for it. So it didn't matter if you were the star, there was literally no way through the matrix Hoed level prism. To the point where you would be kidnapped and then psyops tortured by reptiles. That level. Westworld S&M bondage be put onto you if you were an evolved one. They would do science experiments on you to see, who knows? So those are illegal fallacy contexts. Now, Odessa ordered planet annihilation at Yesod. So anybody still living in a matrix prism genetically that cannot produce the virtues of Yesod are definitely out. If they cannot produce the virtues of Hoed, out. But Hoed has a level of gradation. So now Hoed is 3rd house. Let me say this again. Hoed is now blue marks, 3rd house to 6th house. And Netzach begins at 7th house and then has an 8th house upgrade contingency. So there's like a sphere of bubble that anybody who sells their soul to Mother Earth, literally, just sells their soul, will be able to get through into the Netzach. Now, you still have to follow and obey the 7th house Netzach ascended masters, but that's just life. So the Egyptian master system really works like this to begin with. It's probably like why we had to go back to it. The planet did not actually evolve. Humans didn't evolve really since Egypt. Technology evolved. So the Egyptian master system would be this. We have Sekhmet, we have Isis, we have Maat, we have Anubis, we have Osiris. And if you didn't like Isis, you could go hang out with Maat. But you would do everything Maat asked you to do. In like blind humility. Usually it was practical and common sense like. It was productive and life fulfilling and life giving. It was filled with virtue and honor and progress. It'd be like listening to Professor McGonagall, and then as she told you, you were supposed to read 5 different books. You would have done it. It was not inane. It was not sex slavery. Ugh. The extent of the sex slavery prison would have been through Hathor. Let me say that again. The world's biggest Disney princess would have been Hathor, and that would have been the sex house. Even then, it was like, we're gonna learn how to become legal prostitutes to help our military heal after they go off to war in self-defense for our own society. So even then, it was like an honorable, loving practice. It was a legal concubine, something that you would see in Serenity, the movie, like the movie Serenity with Inara and the beautiful trained concubines that know how to do, like kind of like a geisha if geishas were whores. That level. So they were educated in the arts of the feminine and the sexuality, but also in the healing. I know how to heal through sound. I know how to heal through a vibration. I know how to heal through just a sense or an empathetic connection to somebody. And then it could then be upgraded through sensuality and sexuality. All right, so we have an idea of what 7th house Netzach would be like. There would be no ascension into a Harry Potter universe on this planet if you did not go to Baba G or Starpoint. Let's say that again. If you did not go to Maha Avatar, Baba G, not Sai Baba, but Baba G, you were never going to get the deep Netzach training to actually manipulate reality and life. Baba G was the epitome of holding a 7th house Netzach gate. He was not corrupt. He was austere and honorable and magnificent. Okay? He was not Voldemort with a wand. He was a mature Peter Pan. All right? He was the elevated Jesus incarnate for many years. 7th house Netzach. There is no planet ascension. People do not have the freedom to do whatever they want in life or to do whatever they want to create in life. 7th house Netzach is guarded by the masters. So you're either going to be doing what the master tells you to do, or there's no freedom. Let's say that again. You can either do what the masters are requesting, you don't become a Luciferian thinking that you're an independent. You know, you go, I know I sold my soul to Lucifer. And Lucifer is my master. And in fact, Lucifer is Anubis and is in the position at this present moment to hold one of the highest ranking seats in the 7th house Netzach ascension. So yay, Luciferians. If you really, really are going to listen and obey Lucifer, you will be going to Marshall Mathers and asking for instruction. Verbatim. Period. So, we have the major arcana. All of us masters are guarding the gate to one of these paths on the tree of life. And let's just start with Chris Pratt. Yay! Our Aries Targaryen Archangel Kamael, who owns the chariot path. So he is Archangel Kamael. The beast. It's so lovely. Yes, I was holding the Lovers card there in front, and now we have this, the Chariot card. This is my favorite deck. I do not like the imagery on this deck. I just like that it vibrates at a soul level instead of at an analytical mind level. The person who created this deck was like a wise person, an old wise person. It's the Night Sun Tarot. And though the images may be dark and gothic, there is a sense of deep honor and beauty and soul to this person. It doesn't actually feel like a deranged, crazy human did it. It was more like Jade Marianne painting, like hand painting skeletons in Anubis at the same time. All right, so you will become Chris Pratt's slave. Oh, you do not like that idea? Here is our next slave house. Isla Granger, or Isla Winter, Archangel Haniel, which is Sabrina, or Elsa, Sabrina Targaryen. She owns the path of the moon, so you will become her slave, and she will be a master. That is the house of Haniel. Her male counterpart is so weak, he did not actually get one of these paths. Because she obliterates him, and that would be Leonardo DiCaprio. All right, let's now talk about her sister, which is Daenerys Targaryen, or Anna Targaryen. So Elsa and Anna. So we have the Queen of Wands, and that's really what she rules. But this is not the major arcana, is it? Because she actually rules the Empress path, along with Hathor. Here it is. And the Queen of Wands and Empress are basically the same. So that is House of Raziel. So you can be one of her team. They are very High Valyrian minded. They are erudite in their poise, calm and centered, and deeply severe. They are war-oriented. They feel like Nazis. Where I have a little bit more comical approach, Daenerys Targaryen is a little bit more this. Let's talk about me. So the Empress path is this path. The path of the moon is Netzach is closed through Malkuth. And then here comes Auntie Ray Ray, the star. So I own the Star Emperor path, not the Emperor Star path, and that is something else. Let me say that again. I own the Star Emperor path, and not the Emperor Star path. Primarily, the star path is down here, in between Netzach and Yesod. Okay? And that's Isis. I am Salazarina Slytherin, which is Hail Maleficent. You understand? That's Hermes Lilith. So I run the Dark Femme of Netzach because nobody else is allowed. Because they're disgusting. They're corrupt. So Lucifer and Lilith run Netzach and own Netzach because they're actually very clean in reality. So if you sold your soul to Lilith, you just come this way, and I actually come and help take care of you. I teach you about honor through severity teachings and self-reduction and higher elevated education, more sophisticated arts, better technique, heightened sight and senses, defining your palate. What else do I teach? A lot of things. Here's Archangel Thamiel. So for those who have sold your soul to Satan, the real one, the biblical Satan, that is God's right hand, God's best friend, owns the path of justice, Archangel Thamael. So if you understand that John Bernthal is the Punisher in real life, he is not devoid of honor or integrity. He is austere and calm and grounded and serious and solemn and just and pragmatic. Justice, John Bernthal. Let's talk about our other Thamael, aka Lucifer version. The path of the devil. It's because he's tricky. Lucifer is not Satan. So Lucifer's energy is like this. It's toothless versus Drogon. So this is Marshall Mathers. This is Anubis. This is the House of Anubis. So if you sold your soul to Lucifer, you're going to be House of Anubis work. 100%. Going into the dark and like finding out tricky, just ways to collapse the system. That's Marshall Mathers' card. Oh no, we have another dragon, a master of the Hell Realms that didn't get a official archangel seat because he's Hades. That's Timberland. And he gets the Path of the Hermit. So that's a 7th house seat. He belongs at the head of House of Raphael, in addition with Freeman, but he doesn't run it. Because he's Hades. So he still runs a 7th house seat, but it's not through the tree posts. May or may not be Babaji incarnate is Josh Alfaro, but he would still be the proxy. So Babaji owns the Path of Judgment, and that would be a 7th house seat. So if you have sworn oaths to Maha Avatar Babaji, yeah, you will go study with Josh Alfaro and be Josh Alfaro's slave. He is the most grounded, human, comedian, funny, intelligent, not whitewashed person on the planet. So, again, if you sold your brain, sworn oaths to Babaji, you would, by default, go serve Josh Alfaro. He's not white either. He's Guatemalan. He's one of my best friends from college. All right, the Lover's Path, Archangel Raphael. That is Grace Williamson. She's like 8 years old, and she's like Elle Woods. That's Archangel Raphael. So you would be her servant. And you would help. And you would learn about personality and humanity. What else would you learn about from Elle Woods? Healing techniques. That is a healing technique. Forget who the Path of the Fool was for. The next Archangel Raphael that we have on payroll is on energetic payroll, right? Is Freeman McFadden, which is Finn or Dean Thomas and some of the Harry Potter stuff. And that is Freeman McFadden. That is Archangel Raphael. So you would go and serve him. He is the most stable, grounded human on the planet and listens to literally everybody and is highly emotional intelligent and is very sophisticated at heightening his education in emotional intelligence. Can I even speak? Yep. Pretty sure he's terrified about every single thing that he has read. Might be giving him a heart attack. He is African American descent from Oakland, but he is non-drama and non-angry. Just he's like a gnome human. Here's one without like a archangel title, but we can still have him as a proxy to go to would be Matt Damon. I don't know how much sex drama he has, but he owns the Path of the Tower. See how there's like different races, different sexes. People might feel really confident going to Matt Damon versus Josh Alfaro in life versus Marshall Mathers. So masters provide options instead of limitations. We don't really pigeonhole, we actually provide education and answers. Next is Archangel Ratziel M, and he runs the Path of the Emperor, and that is Alden Stone. He is like a homeless vagabond, because he's Ronald Weasley. And if you're part of the burner community in Austin, you may know him. He's a graphic designer and probably one of the oldest, wisest souls on the planet, and he is the incarnation of Seth. Whoa. So he's kind of dark, nihilistic, and he has a very strong approach to life. You see how, like, the star and Emperor? So this is the extent of my marriage to Ron, is this. Ron and I used to go out when I was about 20. We fight more than me and Elijah. But we still have deep friend love. We were never in love, romantically. Not this lifetime. But there is a old soul connection there that transcends everyday humanity. Alden's a practice shaman. Works a little bit more with acid shamanism. So if you don't like my approach, you may enjoy his. He still will carry a 7th house Netzach seat. Misty Copeland runs the Path of Strength. She also does not have a verbatim archangel title, but the House of Sekhmet has always been historically relevant in time. It's kind of a dancer's house and a little bit sexually liberated and bold and unique, and it's Misty's house. And we will always honor it for infinity. Now we have Archangel Metatron F. Rules the path of temperance, and that is Archangel Metatron Ashley Mazanik. She is the most muggly thing you will ever find. She is pro-environmentalist, humble, and educated. She will work with the system through Hode. She understands temperance. She understands balance. She was born to an upper middle class family. She's polished, and she is very amity-oriented, hippie-oriented. She's not really a fighter, but she's still a ninja fighter on the inside. If I was going to choose Dauntless, she would have chosen Amity and secretly admired the Dauntless in everyone. Just know it. Again, that is Ashley Mazanik. She works with Vanilla Suburbia. She is pro-cultural diversity, very liberal-oriented, and has almost no vices that I can measure other than the lack of depth of her own creativity. She is also a musician and a playwright. Okay, next we have the High Priestess, the House of Ma'at. And that's Ravenclaw, Kellyanne Davis, Archangel Zadkiel, F. So Jamie Bell doesn't even get a call out here right now, you know. So she'll own this High Priestess, and I'll own that High Priestess. Because I'm a little bit better at controlling all my mental and emotional state than Kelly is. Through Earth, just a little better. So you see, she can't hold the star path, can she? But she can hold this. Next we have the House of Osiris. This is for all you Aleister Crowley fans out there, Harry Potter fans. The Path of the Magician. It's so shocking that the House of Osiris and Enochian magic temples and everything Aleister Crowley is also just Osiris. This might be the House of Sandalphon-ish, kinda, but it's more the horror movie version of it. It's Kylo Ren's house, especially when he gets rehabilitated. Just remember, if you're in that house, he's dysfunctional, as Aleister Crowley was, and corrupted. And he is required to do up to at least the second pink marks through Netzach A&R levels. So if you're in his house, you're his mommy, forcing him to do his work. I know what being Elijah Wood's mommy feels like, and it's that. So if you're going to serve the House of Osiris, expect that you're his mommy. Or do not. You want to talk about being Elijah Wood's daddy. Next, we have the Tara, House of Gabriel. Christine Tara Peterson owns the Path of the World. House of Gabriel, get it? Okay. Be her slave. She's a scientist, an epigeneticist. She's also into Ashtanga yoga and Ayurveda. And then here we have Chelsea Handler. Well, in the Path of Death, and that's Archangel Michael, comma, F. You want to be Chelsea Handler's slave? You can get in. So Chelsea's a rebel against all of it. Do you see how you have options in life? Many. You want to get into 7th house Netzach? We have options. Okay. We have a very diverse background. You can serve little girls. Like you can serve Elsa, you know, or you can serve Daenerys, or you can serve Elwoods. All right? That is like, I have no trust in any adult. I have extreme issues with Kali Ren's insanity. Okay? I have, so like, there are triggers that everyone cannot digest with those like other people, and the idea of serving a little princess girl is like bypasses some of those insanity triggers. Same thing with serving any of those guys. You want to serve a black man? You have options. Period. Black dancer woman, we have one. We have options in life, okay? So now we have this. We have the House of Hathor, the Path of the Sun. So this is mommy. So Isis Hathor. Here we are. So this is Hermes Lilith, or Hermes Maleficent, and this is Hermes non-Maleficent. Do you see that Hathor doesn't really run the dark femme energy? But we're kind of the same, but we're opposites. So Hathor, like, the extent that I am not popular is the extent that Hathor is popular. Let me say that again. The extent that I am not popular is the opposite of how Hathor is popular. Because she doesn't come off like Maleficent to people. And I do. Hermes Maleficent, Hermes non-Maleficent. Hermione Granger is Hermes Maleficent because how she talks is like, ugh. I can't stand it when Hermione says anything. I cannot digest it. It rubs me the wrong way. Just her presence rubs me the wrong way. Okay, so Hathor is the opposite. Hathor is not in a body. But you can still serve the house. You can still serve this house, House of Isis, or like the House of Raphael. And no, you're still serving the future House of Hathor. So that's still 7th house Netzach. The Fool. Who did we... What? Who got the Fool today? It's so irrelevant. Who's owning the path of, like, this person is so irrelevant in the 7th house spectrum that I can't even remember. And it's not John Bernthal. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Oh no, okay. So there is somebody here and maybe they need to be anonymous. So let's keep it at that. All right. So So 7th house Netzach begins. You definitely are required to do blue marks work, because that's just 3rd house Hode. But when you do all those blue marks work and you get to pink marks and then you do the 7th house Netzach work, when you sell your soul to one of these people, then you're like, yeah, I'm in. I'm allowed. I'm allowed in this new parallel universe. And it starts at the first stripe, the first pink mark stripe. I will serve them, and I have my pink mark stripe with full intent to do all of them. Otherwise, I'm going to get kicked out. Period. All right, let's talk about Goodney Goodnesson. Because no matter what, he is Caecilius, but he's also that weird fairy that runs District 13. He is the King of Wands, and he is never to be trusted. He runs the Modern Mystery School. He looks about this crazy, and he runs this energy. He is considered neither good nor bad in this mirror prism. It's a neutral space, and he is only a servant and a slave to both the house of Osiris and Isis. Only. He will be 100% subservient to both houses of Isis and Osiris, or he will be kicked out. Bar none. What is the 7th house? Well, on a healthy, non-demonic planet, you can do ascensions where it's like, 3rd house is Gaebra, so that's Gryffindor. So I know, like, I can be Hermione, and I'm not going to be hunted down just because I'm Hermione. But maybe, like, if Voldemort shows up, I might be. But, like, that's just one person. That's not, like, 500 people. With each 100% different agendas in life. Okay, so that would be, like, 3rd house. So 7th house is where the Aurors begin. The Archangel seats. In Bina. Since I've crossed the abyss and I belong to a new mirror prism. Let me say that again. I've crossed the abyss and I belong to a new mirror prism. Through the Clippeth. Through Clippeth Id. So 7th house is, I no longer live in the same universe structure as you guys. I have crossed the abyss, and I now belong to an officially new mirror prism, not just a new genetic sequence. Let me say that again. It is not a new genetics. It is a new mirror prism. 7th house. I have crossed the abyss, and I belong to a new reality. I have crossed the wall. Everyone watch Stardust? That's what crossing the abyss is into the 7th house. You see how, like, not everybody's good in the town of Wall. You've got good guys and bad guys. Like, we have the House of Thaumael and we have the House of Lucifer, but it's still better than the other city. The town that is not the House of Wall. There we go. So as long as you are You'll be hunted down and ordered, believe me. But the point is this: my magic will work at 7th house. Shadow reconciled. Debts paid. You know how, like, there are witches? There are witches in the city of Wall. Again, this is a Stardust reference. If you have not watched that movie, like, where are you in the world? What is the 7th house? My magic works. So when I do a white square and I write an intention and I fold it and I set it on fire and I throw it into the street, I am now running 7th house magic onto the planet. Means my voice matters. My vote matters. Believe me, you have to be serving. You have to be serving one of these people. Like every Luciferian witch in Infinity knows the laws here. If I do not serve Lucifer, that thing will not matter. Period. It's that. It's not about selling your soul to any of these people, but it is like selling. Like, it's like selling yourself into just full-on humble obedience. So at that, at least, we're running 4th house energy. A 4th house obedience Ravenclaw energy. With Hokmah coming through. The pink marks are 4th house, by the way. So if I'm serving a 7th house master, a 7th house seat, unconditionally, my magic will work. Let me tell you a story. Let's backtrack. Last year at this time, I was like in the backyard at Hackney, and it was a beautiful backyard. It was just like a garden, and it it was the size of a closet, but still it was lovely because it had green, and it had this cute little patio that I would go, and I would go do my announcements on Facebook all day long. And then maybe I would do a Ravenclaw video. I would go and I would drink matcha tea and I would fight Star off. Let me say that again. I would look at a giant brick wall, and on the other side I would see Star through the brick wall, and I would fight her off. This, just like, all day long, every single day. I look like a crazy schizo all day long, every single day, and you could hear her voice coming through my mouth every single minute of every single day, and she only sounded like nonsense. It sounded exactly how it looked when I was typing her voice out. And it felt like hell. Like I was fighting the demon from this century of infinity, because I was battling the mind flayer. And through that, I gained strength. And oh my goodness, is that the nobody crosses the wall magic? Is that where it came from? My ability to just fight the mind flayer became my ability to create an entire new parallel universe inside of this universe and live for an ascension that we could create an entire new paradigm called 7,000 Netzach. Is that what it came to be in life? Is my ability to fight the mind flayer became my ability to create new anything? alone, desperately crying for help every single minute of every single day and being rejected by literally everyone, left to fight alone with the voice and the spirit guides of dragons and Odessa. That was all I had. And Kelly. So I would look at this wall and I would hear Star and I would battle Star and I would listen to Star and I'd fight her. And I grew stronger and stronger and my magic grew stronger and stronger and the clippet got filled 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 day after day, minute after minute. Until there was nothing left of me, much less Star. And I would look at this brick wall, and I would go, brick, brick, brick. Because I was suffocating on Star's astral energy. And we did this beautiful magic where I would put the first part of that wall and I go, Slytherin, and we would wash it. We would do magic water on that wall. And then I would go back and I would do the second layer and go Hufflepuff, and you could feel the difference. And then you go Gabera. And when you did Gabera, it was disciplined and ordered and zen and particular and intelligent. Systematic. And the minute you got to Ravenclaw, it was like a party. Because you knew exactly what Gryffindor was. Was Nazi. You learned Kaizen. Nobody crosses the wall. By the time you get through Gabra, maybe life can be fun. After third house, maybe life can be fun. Like a third house genetic evolution. Where is Lucifer? Okay. So Netzach. Let's go backtrack our history. Does anybody understand that the devil sits on top of Hode? Does anybody? Do you know why? To get to Baba G's group, or like a Netzach life, you had to bypass all of Lucifer's tests in life. You had to rise above and into the intelligence of like sophisticated Christ to pass the bondage. Like Lucifer is not the one in chains. Let me say that again. From Hera's point of view, Lucifer is the good guy that chains up the demons that would assault everybody with guns. Their wands and their brains and their genetics are just guns. So they are therefore imprisoned in Hode. They are not allowed into Netzach. Are you insane? That's like handing a gun to a reptile and saying, you have the power to own infinity. Do you think Baba G would teach anybody? Absolutely not. People would pilgrimage to Baba G and then throw themselves off the cliff for just the potentiality to be instructed into Baba G's lineage. Nobody in the 7th house would ever hand over a wand to somebody on this planet. ever. And that's why this is the raddest card in Infinity. Because everyone thinks Lucifer's the bad guy instead of the Auror. Let me say that again. Because 7th house is run by Lucifer. You are not allowed magic on this planet. Unless you are ordered by him. Unless you're so Christ. Lucifer says everybody's demon on this. That's what this card is. Marshall Mathers is probably the most genius human on the planet. That's full. This is the Full Metal Alchemist, you guys. You're not allowed magic without his approval. Anubis? At all. Unless you were Jesus. Jesus would have come and rescued me by now, 3 years ago. Let me say that again. This class is mandatory for all Ascended Masters. Jesus is in it. Jesus would have come and rescued me 3 years ago on the beach. Because Jesus was instructing me to starve to death on the beach. That was Jesus. So nobody's allowed magic on this planet. Their thoughts don't matter. Their prayers don't matter. Unless they're Jesus. 7th house Netzach. Where is Lucifer? In all of Lucifer's mirror prisms. Not all of them, but Draco Malfoy even is transfigured into a ferret. What about Full Metal Alchemist? He's kind of human there. He's always an animal. Toothless, Yoda. He's the raccoon that's on Chris Pratt's shoulder. He's Batty in Fern Gully. He's the keeper of Netzach. Even his goat man persona is like, I'm not a human. He's the Phantom, or he's like behind the mask, or he's V. So he's the keeper of Netzach. Let me say that again. Do you get how he's the Birdman? He's the Birdman in Maleficent. I'll turn into a crow or raven. You can turn me into a dragon. It means he has divorced himself from the human status quo 100%. Let me say that again. He divorced himself from the human status quo 100%. So he is 100% in rebel against every human brain on this planet. Except for like 7th housers. He's a thought leader. He's a paradigm leader, Marshall. And he's grounded and unconditionally loving at the same time. All right. He's the keeper of Netzach. When you Google what Venus is, it's like Lucifer. That's Netzach. Lucifer. So Lucifer is the bringer of the dawn. That's just Anubis. It's pretty cool. All right, so again, he's the head of the 7th house. He's the head of all the Aurors. He is an Auror. So Netzach at Auror level is like totally fine. For me to even get to a good Slytherin Netzach, I had to go starve for the whales via the 8th house system. Let me say that again. I had to go starve for the... Okay. I had to starve to death for the whales alone. Being rejected by literally everybody. Yeah. To be adopted by the planet like I am the planet. So it's like, it's not just Navi, it's like super Navi. Because I had to go do it by myself alone. So it's like I had to pretend I was Jake Sully against all the bad guys. But alone. On a planet that doesn't believe in any of that. So that's like an 8th house system. So that's how I would be let out of Hode and be allowed to mutate into the new Netzach. Like a Pandora Netzach. So all 7th housers are now open. Not all 7th housers are in 8th house, like Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is not in the 8th house right now. Isla is. Sabrina. So he might be Archangel Kamael. M. But he's not. So he's Jake Sully. Yay. Cool, it's the beast. I'm gonna train him to do anything. Like just listen. Okay. Ravenclaw. So the difference between the new paradigm and the old paradigm is this. Like in Hode operates off of the same cyclical mirror prism that you're continuously seeing. So they are on the other side of the wall. Netzach is the city of wall. Again, let's say this again. There's a genetic separation of universe structure now. The current matrix system is Hode, and Netzach is a new matrix system. It's a new parallel universe. It does not read the current mirror prism and go, yeah, that's my mirror. At all. It's now fully through the Clippeth in a creative space. That's freedom. I can be a creator of my reality instead of a victim of the Windsors. Yes. Physically. So it's like Greta has power. Like Greta has a wand and it works. Because they didn't do their A&R work. Because they didn't just not do their A&R work. They didn't do anything, Jesus, ever. Again, like, remember, you have to be Jesus just to get into Netzach. I'm an angel that's in the archangel house, like that kind of level Jesus. So, with Ravenclaw genetics, we created the new separation. When you get up on a street, when you see the curb, the street is Hode, and above the street is Netzach. So when you throw a piece of litter that has like, or a tarot card, I'm going to throw the King of Wands at Queen Elizabeth, and it's going to cross a double red line, and then you're going to see Goodney Goodnesson now face Elizabeth Windsor head on in the physical world, and you just created that. And your voice matters, and theirs don't. Goodney Goodnesson made me do that by default for the last year. She's like, oh, so that's just karma. He said he was a royal. He said he was Icelandic royalty. So I can write a spell down on a white square and throw it into the street and watch it manifest. As long as I'm in that 7th house category. And I'm going to do all, I promise to God, I'm going to do all my A&R work to 7th house standard, which is it's pink marks and 100 dragons. White square. We belong into a parallel universe that's called creation. Oh, I feel everybody shutting the fuck up right now. I mean, all the Secret Service that has been spying on me all day long for the last few months as I'm in just deep pain, being stabbed every day. They all gotta shut up. They are now at the mercy of every 7th house Netzacher. Not Markle Netzach, like 1st house Netzach. No, 7th house Netzach. Unless Markle was Misty Copeland's slave. Physically. The double red line. You are at 7th house Netzach to paint outside your curb a double red line. And then you toss it on the other side. If it's yellow, it's just Hufflepuff. If it's red, it's coming from Gabera at least. So we talked about white square magic. I threw a few things into the street already. Mostly just get this ball rolling. One were oh my God, should I even say? The first one was a lifeline. to like law enforcement and HOD, first responders, FBI agents, DEA agents, honest civilians, because it's like Morgana Le Fay. Let me say this again. It's like Morgana Le Fay against maybe King Arthur in the Muggle world. And so you might want to build allies with some of those 6th house Muggles. Even the 3rd house Muggle. That's just a generally humble, honest, like they have blue marks. That kind of person. Lifelines for those people so that they're not always at the mercy or the liberty of another witch that you know has an attitude issue. Like my relationship with how I perceive the FBI is not the same as Kelly's. Let me say that again. How I perceive the FBI is not the same way that Kelly perceives the FBI. Know that how I perceive the FBI is not the same as how Marshall Mathers perceives the FBI. Know that. So, I threw out lifeline magic. Good, honest people can be taken care of through this hellish future ascension. It's not going to be an ascension. It's going to be an annihilation. I will guarantee you that. But it may be peaceful, prosperous. We'll see. There are 8 billion people here and 3 years left of resources. Wait till everyone collapses against the wall. All right, so we talked about white square magic. So literally, this is the same value as buying a $500 crystal. Maybe, maybe not. If you serve the House of Kamael, it's definitely blessed by me and Chris Pratt. If you serve us. That's Gabra Earth and Gabra Air. Through the Gabra line. Okay? You see how that Archangel system's awesome? Yeah. In the winter, now let's talk about this. There will be riots in the future. People will realize that they cannot actually fuel their own existence mathematically. They cannot find the time to do their A&R work and sustain a job. So they may live on a couch outside their front yard or somebody else's front yard on the double red line as an act of rebellion, protest. Let me say this again. There will be city street parties for infinity in the future because it's all left-hand path Netzach. They will be living off the land. Mandatory, because to do anything 7th house, you have to do Netzach. You cannot exist in a sellout system. You will be outdoor camping almost half your life at least. Definitely through the summers. We'll be calling those summer strikes. What happens when it rains? We just put a tent. Yay. Because you will realize that your magic is not going to be fueled by electronics. And the karmic consequence of using an electronic undermines the spell you just put out. In the winter, witches will put blood in their front yards, period blood, or other kind of blood, and salt. This is old pagan and druid protection on your houses. It increases the House of Lilith response. It connects you deeper to the sacred land and the divine earth femme. This may be a Native American practice also, I do not know. But I know that it's old Viking. That will be the winters. You will see people with blood in their front yard through the snow, lined with salt and roses or flowers. These are street drops. They may be lit with candles too in the wintertime. When people have their magic intention power instead of their no magic intention power, what they will do to have their magic intention power is everything. If I knew going homeless would make me into a witch, if living on the street would make me into a witch, where I had actual power, I would do it. So we've covered outside living. A month ago, Chris Pratt was like, do you like camping? And it was just foreshadowing. Because Marshall is like the keeper of Netzach. And it's all like, did you just see the movie that came out? It's called Leave No Trace. And it looks like me as a 5-year-old child with Marshall as my dad. Trying to take care of me and educate me about living in via Netzach. So through the mirror prism, he's like subconsciously teaching everybody that that's the way to become V, to create the tower response. That's a low baseline, but it's the beginning baseline of mutation. You will not be in the 7th house if you're not at that level eventually. That's this was the choice on Earth. Everybody, all the rich people could have given up their castles and their homes to create homeless shelters, and they chose not to, and then they chose to do pedo rings instead. So now this is what the force response is. $7,000 Netzach. This could have been a civilized ascended master ascension, and it decided it was not gonna be. Viva la V life. When a bunch of college educated people understand that they can get a nice free education from Hermione Granger and other people for like $5 on Udemy. And they can read a bunch of archaic philosophical books and then do A&R work all day long while living on their couch outside in a party situation. That is going to be the new future. Because that's the human natural space, is a community build live. They'll live in tent cities together, and they'll live on couches together. Just to get off the grid, but on the grid legally as a protest and rebellion. In mass. And you'll see every single college student on the planet will be there. I promise. Especially when they know that their magic and their voice will be heard. Do you remember this statement? All words, labels, hode, all you will remember is the image and the feeling of glory. But really what it was a orange panda lily taking fire into hode, and that's just that. All you will remember is the image and the feeling of glory. People are calculating right now that they have really bad karma and their voice doesn't matter and mine does. And so do a bunch of other people that they fucked over. Or screwed or raped or sold. Imagine Isla, P-do. This is Isla. In a sex trade is throwing a quarter and somebody's head gets chopped off. She throws a quarter into the street because you guys sold her into a pedo ring. Okay. That's what's out there right now. Do you understand why 7th house Netzach is like mandatory? It's because let me tell you this. Marshall Mathers is as anti-pedo as you could ever imagine for infinity. You're like not even allowed like an inch of it in like the clip it's in. You're not allowed any pedo anywhere, like at all, in like any inch or crevice of your cellular structure. Nothing. I will burn it out of you. Okay, so that's Marshall Mathers. That's the guy. That's the guy that owns the 7th house. Because if he burned it out of me, he'd definitely burn it out of you guys. Yeah. Like, I still had, like, hints of it in my DNA after cleaning up all the knife rape on the planet. Or at least in the clip-up, right? So we're cleaning out all that genetic, and then he just blasts me more, like, clean out all the pedo. Like, you're not allowed to sit on that. Like, just zero. Nothing. You don't even get a day of rest. Just get it out of you. Marshall Mathers is a genius. Wand. I was still emotionally processing all the trauma of everything else. All right. So it is safer to have your children in the 7th house system, living on a street in a community cult with a 7th house system of intelligent, educated, enlightened light workers than it will be to have them in the Hode Matrix. And the dividing line is very clear, and you will fear God. Living in Hode, that your kid is going to be kidnapped by pedo rings that the FBI can't even manage. They can't even imagine the level of intelligence of the Epstein ring. P-do. Oh my God. So you will sell your soul to 7th house and survive and protect your family. Verbatim, because that's the side of love. And the dividing line between the sides is awesome. It's horror level. It's a clear, not just horror level like 6th house to 7th house, it's horror level like 7th house. Like, a corrupting 6th houser is not allowed in. That's just Hode. Do not confuse the two. Do you like camping? Love Chris Pratt. Because if he asks me if I love camping, he's gonna love dot dot dot. Color run out.